Good evening. Hope you're having a great week. Is it Tuesday night? I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday night. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. Does it say anywhere what day it is? It's December 20th. I think it's Tuesday, December 20th, 7:33 p.m. Central Standard Time, local time here in Sweetwater, Texas. I'm at the TA in Sweetwater, and I'm just about to drive down to Sonora, Texas, as soon as Mesilla Valley Transportation finishes backing into this spot. It's more difficult than it should be because there's some dumbasses just parked alongside the building. There are tons of open spots here, and people still creatively park in places they're not supposed to be. There's a truck parking lot behind me that is almost completely empty. There are probably 40 or 50 spots back there, and there's only like 3 trucks parked back there. We still got these dumbasses parked up alongside the building and parked in all kinds of places they're not supposed to be in. But anyway, it's gonna be a minute because there's a Swift that was waiting for Mesilla to back in, so I'm gonna let Swift drive by now. And now we have a pickup driving that direction. It all of a sudden it got busy. Like as soon as I need to leave, the truck stops start getting busy. So what's going on with me tonight? I just booked a load, and I'm gonna reposition for that load. I'm in Sweetwater, Texas, which is over by Abilene. It's out in West Texas off of Interstate 20. And what the fuck is Mesilla doing? All right, looks like Mesilla is just going to straighten up in their spot. So I have to wait for Mesilla Valley again. Uh, the Sonora is down off I-10. So I'm repositioning from I-20 down to I-10, almost straight south of where I'm at. All right, let's turn the headlights back on. I turned my headlights off whenever Mesilla Valley was backing so that I wouldn't be blinding them. Look at these dumbasses just parked in the middle of the fucking road. I hate people that creatively park like this, especially when there are tons of open spots. Like there's open spots right here across from where they're at. I don't know what this flatbed's doing. It looks like the flatbed, I was going to let them in front of me, but it looks like they're turning and going the other direction. So we'll talk about the load, and we'll do all kinds of stuff. I know the picture quality is not the greatest on these driving videos, and shit, we have some people parked in the damn road. Somebody asked on my last video, my last driving video, if there was any chance that we could increase the quality up to 1920 by 1080 60 FPS on the driving videos. Now, I don't know if they're 60 FPS, but they are 1920 by 1080 on my videos that I do at the house. But on these driving videos, they are 720 resolution, and there's a couple of reasons for that, and it's unlikely to change in the near future. I mean, I'll look into it, but audio quality is, in my opinion, more important because I think most people just listen to my videos. They don't even watch them. They just listen while they're driving. And it was really hard for me to find an app that I could record video with. I'm just getting off at the next exit. I don't know if this lane, well, maybe it's not the next exit. It's 2 miles. Um, It was really hard to find an app that would use my Bluetooth headset, my Blue Parrot or whatever it is headset, to record audio from. Android does not like to record audio for video from Bluetooth. Android exclusively uses Bluetooth for phone calls. So in order for me to find a video app that would record Bluetooth, I had to find a Bluetooth, a video app that was specifically designed on Android to record Bluetooth audio. And the way it does it is that it tricks Android into thinking that it's recording an audio call. So I'm kind of stuck using this video software, and like I can't pause recording with it, and it's lacking a lot of features. But it took me like 2 weeks to find something that I could record video with that would also record, using this Bluetooth headset, because I was recording for a long time thinking that it was that the app that I was using was recording from my Bluetooth headset, and it wasn't. It was just recording from the phone mic, and you couldn't hardly hear me. And I don't like listen or watch my videos after I record them. I don't like do editing or anything like that. So I didn't even know how bad the audio quality was until somebody told me. But I will look again and see if I can find the best of both worlds. See if I can find something that will record good audio using the Bluetooth, and also something that I can increase the resolution on, because I can't go above 720 resolution recording on this without paying for like a subscription to the app. And I'm not willing to pay a subscription for this app with how janky it is. I have a lot of issues with it. All right, we're gonna go ahead.
Continue for 41 miles.
All right, so we're gonna be doing this whole drive is gonna be on country roads, bi-directional state roads and highways. I take that back. I think there are some sections of the road that are divided highway, but there's not very many. It's like right when I get down close to Sonora or something. I hate driving on bidirectionals, but it's either this or go a long way out of route. There's nothing remotely close to this that I can drive on this divided highway. So anyway, I think that pretty much covers the video quality. Also, it's a size issue. Um, I have a limited amount of data that I can use and stuff like that. And even with just the quality that I am recording with these like hour-long videos, they're like 1.5, 2 gig files, something like that. I couldn't imagine. They'd be like probably 20 gigs or something if I bumped them up to like 1920 by 1080, 60 FPS. I don't know. Well, I'll look into it. There's a whole bunch of settings I can play with, bit rate and all kinds of things, but I'll see what I can do. It's not high on my priority list, though. All right, so now let's move on and talk about the load and why I booked it and what's going on. We do have some snow flurries. Or freezing fog, I don't know what it is. down here in Texas. We have an Arctic front that came down. So what's going on is I delivered a load on Friday in Abilene. Well, it was a two-part load. I delivered, it's always good whenever you're out here on a bi-directional to see another truck the same size or bigger than you. Lets you know that you're not going to run across a low bridge or something. Like if you don't see another, if you're on a road and you don't see another truck for a long time, you start getting a little worried. But anyway, delivered on Friday, and I wasn't able to find a load on Friday. Um, there's a lot of weather going on in the northern half of the country, and I'm trying to run north south. I normally run west coast, and west coast is just not something I'm running right now because freight over in the west coast is really, really, really bad. And between the 2935 corridor and the west coast it's just gigantic freight desert. So if freight out in the west coast is bad, there really isn't a point in going west of the 2935 corridor. And I don't like running east, so it puts me into this position where I'm just running north south on the 2935 corridor. Damn, assholes with their fucking high beams on. That very last car had their damn high beams on. Just pisses me off, man. Bi-directional road, you're coming straight at another vehicle, basically. You got your damn high beams on, blinding the shit out of them. There's nobody behind me, so I'm just going to stay in the left lane. So, yeah, I sat through the weekend and waited on a load, and then I sat through Monday waiting on a load. I mean, there were loads posted. There's a lot of decent loads that are going up into the north that are being posted, but they're like 2-day deliveries. You pick it up today and it delivers in 2 days. So they're not giving you much of any leeway for weather. It has to get there ASAP, and there's a lot of weather going on in the north. And then the loads down here staying in the south, those things are disappearing instantly. And I think that's because a lot of people are trying to stay down south out of the weather. And so I sat through Monday, couldn't find anything that I wanted. There have been over the last week, there have been some really good just-in-time loads for auto parts. Loads paying $7, $8, $10, $12 a mile, but you have to pick them up in like an hour or two, and you have to also have enough hours after you pick them up to deliver them. And there's never been an auto part load posted that I was close enough to pick up and deliver on time. So the load I ended up getting is a load basically going to Canada. It's not going to Canada. It's going to North Dakota. It's going to Williston, North Dakota, which is west side of North Dakota, way up north. It's probably like maybe 150 miles from the Canadian border, if I had to guess. And it has been snowing like crazy in the northern half of the country for the last week or so, and it's supposed to continue snowing for the next few days. And then there's going to be a break in the weather, and then I think there's more snowstorms supposed to come through. So what I'm going to try to do is squeeze in between snowstorms. And then after I deliver the load, I'll have to wait for a weather break to make it back out. You know, I'll have to wait for the break in the weather to get another load to get the hell out. Now, the reason I took this load, there were tons of loads going up to North Dakota from the area that I'm in. And the prices on the loads have been increasing like every day, sometimes multiple times per day, because nobody's taking the loads because they're going up into some rough weather. They're going up into the snow. So they keep jacking up the prices on them. And I finally found one. Well, even with the jacked up prices, I wasn't willing to do any of the loads because of two things. Their mileage was way off. Like, they're basing the way a lot of these brokers negotiate rates on loads is based on the mileage of the load. And the way that they were judging the mileage from like Odessa, Midland up to Williston, North Dakota, Williston, North Dakota is almost straight north of Odessa, Midland. So what they were doing was they were just using basically shortest miles, which is not a truck, you know, it's not a practical route for a truck. It's basically taking bi-directional roads, you know, little state roads and highways and stuff like that from Texas all the way to Canada, going straight north. It is a very impractical route. And it's like 1,250 miles. It's almost air miles. It's basically a straight line from Odessa, Midland up to Williston. Now, the more practical route would be to do one of two things. Either drive up through Denver and Wyoming, go through Colorado and Wyoming. That's the shortest practical route. Or you can go up 29 and then cut across on 94. Or there's a highway that you can cut across at like Grand Forks, North Dakota or something like that. I forget what it is. I haven't decided which route I'm going to take. But anyway, the shortest practical route is like 1,500 miles, 1,1600 miles. And the other route where you go up 29, that's somebody making a left turn up ahead. That looks like a big truck. Yep, making a left turn up ahead. Damn it, it is really hard to see the lines in the road in this damn construction. They have some temporary lane markers in. But that route is like 1,750 miles. So the route that I am most likely going to take is the 29 route because I don't want to drive across Colorado and Wyoming in the winter when there's a lot of snow happening. I would much prefer to drive up 29, which is mainly flat land. So that's the route that I'm going to take. And they're putting up these rates that are like $4.50 a mile, but the the mileage that they're using to dictate that rate is not practical. It's not realistic. It's just like air miles. So actually these loads that look like they're paying really well that are listed at like 467 a mile, they're not actually paying very well. If you look at the practical mileage on it, they're paying like $3.40 a mile, and it's max weight hazmat. I'm like, nah, I'm not hauling that crap. So it's max weight hazmat. You only get like 2 days to deliver. And I don't even know if I could make the delivery appointment because of how many more miles are on the load than what they think are on it. And looking at the national forecast, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it around this vehicle in this passing lane or not. I doubt that I am. There's some headlights behind me, but they're a long ways behind me. All right, we made it around. So, why did I take this load over all the other ones? Well, it was paying quite a bit more than the rest of them. Um, the best paying load that I've seen so far going up to Williston from the area I was in was paying $6,000. This one's paying just under $7,000, 6,900 and something dollars. Um, Also, it is not hazmat. It is a heavy load. It's a 40,000-pound load, but it's not hazmat. That makes a big difference. I don't like being placarded. It is totes, so it's going to probably require a tanker endorsement, which is not a big deal. I have all the I don't have all the endorsements. Like, I don't have passenger and things like that. I have all your normal truck driver endorsements, tankers, hazmats, doubles, triples, all that stuff. And another reason that I took the load is because it has a lot of time to deliver. The delivery window is basically the 23rd through the 27th. So if I can get it there real quick, I can deliver it real quick. But if not, then I can deliver it after the holidays if I want to take my time getting there. So I'm the type of person that I generally get it there as quickly as I possibly can. I stress out whenever I'm under a load if I'm just sitting around not moving the load. But all the extra time on the load gives me time to sit and wait for weather windows. Like after I pick the load up tomorrow, there's going to be some bad weather on the 29 north of Oklahoma City. So I'll probably drive up to Oklahoma City, maybe a little past Oklahoma City. I'll drive as far as I can until the weather starts getting bad. And then I will stop and wait for the next day. And there's supposed to be a really good weather window the next day. And I should probably be able to make it all the way to Williston in that weather window before the next snowstorm starts coming in. But all of the things about the load make it to where I'm getting paid well. I'm, driving somewhere I want to go, and I'm given plenty of time to do it safely. I'm not too thrilled about the weight, but I'm glad it's not hazmat. Now, you might be wondering, why in the hell is it someplace that I want to go? Why would I want to go to North Dakota? around Christmas in the middle of the damn winter. Because I'm looking for Santa Claus. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I like cold weather. I don't like driving in snow and ice, but I like cold weather. And we do have an Arctic front all the way down into Texas right now, which seems to be a normal thing. You know, when this first happened a few years ago, or it wasn't the first time it ever happened, but when this happened a few years ago, they talked about it like it was some major, really rare event whenever we had below freezing temperatures all the way down into Mexico and we had snow all the way down into Mexico. Now it happens basically every winter that we have Arctic, weather all the way down to Mexico. This is like the second time it's happened in the last couple of weeks. So it's becoming like really common. But even though we are still getting some cold weather all the way down to the Mexican border, whenever that Arctic weather moves back up north, it gets hot down here. Like it was 70 degrees in Abilene a few days ago. Air conditioner was running all damn day. I was like, man, this shit is uncomfortable. So I was like, I would really like to be up north. You know what's been happening the last couple of years is I've been doing an exceptional job of staying south. And I love cold weather, but because I've been doing such a great job of staying south in the winter, I've basically been dealing with hot weather year round. And that sucks. So I'm really looking forward to getting up into the cold weather where it basically stays cold all day long. You know, it doesn't get up to like 60, 70 degrees during the day. Nice, comfortable, cold weather. Because this truck is very comfortable in cold weather, not very comfortable in hot weather. That's another reason that I like cold weather is because of the truck. Does not do well in hot weather. It has a hard time maintaining a cool temperature in here if it is like 80 degrees outside. But I'll get up there to Williston, get the load delivered, and sit there until I have a weather window and a load at the same time to get back down south. I'll hopefully be able to find a load coming back down to the Odessa Midland area or Sonora or somewhere back down here in Texas. Or, you know, if there's loads that are going to pay really high rate per miles to not go as many miles, you know, they pay just as much to go a shorter distance, then, you know, I'll haul those as well. But this load is going to allow me to make some money before the holiday, because if I keep waiting without a load, I'm going to get into a position where I'm just going to have to sit through the holiday. Like if I wait until late in the, if I get too far into this week, the freight is just going to keep getting slower and slower and slower as we get closer and closer to the holiday. It's going to become harder and harder to find a load. And if I get too late in the week, then it's going to get me into a position. All right, somebody caught up with me and they're riding my ass. The speed limit is 75, last sign I saw, which I think is absolutely ridiculous for a bi-directional road. You can make it. There they go. Um, that's the reason I turned on my bright lights, was to let them see that they had enough room to go around. But yeah, now instead of sitting for a week and a half, because I don't know what exact day the holiday is on, but it's not until like you're after the holiday, freight takes a while to get back up to normal. So freight slows down going into a holiday. There's almost no freight posted on the holiday. And then after the holiday, freight slowly picks back up to normal, because you have a lot of people taking time off around the holidays. Some businesses take time off before the holidays, some take time off after the holidays. For some business, it takes them a couple of days to get things, back rolling into motion. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's really productivity around the holidays is really low at a lot of businesses. Now, if you're working retail, then that's your busiest time of the year. All right. Speed limit dropped down to 70. Speed limit dropped down to 55. And this is listed as a 55-mile-per-hour turn. We're doing 54 right now. Damn, it's hot in here. The fan doesn't stop. I can't get the damn fan in this truck to completely stop. It's always blowing air, even if I turn it down to, basically turn the fan down to nothing. So what I have to do when it gets too damn hot in here is I just have to play around with the temperature gauge to have it blow cooler air. All right, speed limit's 30 and I'm going 40. Let's slow it down. 32, 31, 30. All right, now we're speeding back up, 45. That's somebody right on my ass. They did not slow down through town. All right, now the speed limit's back up to 75. So yeah, it was looking like I wasn't going to make any money through the holiday. Now I'm going to make about $5,000 gross to the truck. I still have expenses that are going to come out of that, fuel costs and all kinds of stuff. But the load pays almost $7,000, and what I make after all the percentage cuts is a little over $5,000. I can't remember the exact numbers. I calculated it out, and in all honesty, like I didn't even sit around and wait to get a freight bill. I called the agent and it went to voicemail. I left a short voicemail and then I texted her. And she replied back to the text and said that she was out shopping for her grandkids. And we talked about the load through text. And she said that she asked for my info and she said that she would send, the stuff over to me. And I didn't really want to sit around and wait for a couple hours for her to, like get back home. I didn't know if she was going to do it while she was out or she was going to wait till she got back home. I didn't know what the deal was. There's a turn up ahead. Don't try to pass me here. Um, so I just went ahead. She told me that she would send me an email with the stuff, and I was like, sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and drive down to Sonora. So I went ahead. I normally don't move the truck, to reposition for a load until I get the freight bill, because you never know. Like, whenever they start trying to process the load, something may come up. They'll be like, oh, somebody else already booked the load. Because a lot of these agencies, you're just dealing with like a customer care person, so there might be multiple people that are booking loads, and the person I'm dealing with may not know that somebody else already booked the load until they try to book it. Also, there might be a miscommunication with what the load pays. And, they send you over the freight bill, and it's like, this does not match what you put on the fucking load board. And, you'll cancel the load off, be like, yeah, I'm not hauling this crap. So, yeah, I normally do not reposition the truck until everything is finalized paperwork-wise with the load. And I did not do that for this load, because I know I'm going to be getting tired in the next hour or two. So I didn't want to drive, push it too late. Also, I want to try to get there as early as possible so that I can hopefully take a full 10-hour break before I pick up the load in the morning. This person is not going to try to pass me unless we get to a passing lane. All right, go ahead and turn the brights off, because whenever you're coming up to a hill like this, it's pointless to have your brights on. Your visibility is limited by the peak of the hill. But with your brights on, you're not really going to be able to tell for sure if there's oncoming traffic. So somebody's going to come across the top of that hill and just get blinded by you. Oh, sweet. Now we have a divided highway. You can go around me, four-wheeler. They're not interested. They had an opportunity to go around me. They didn't take it. I think they're just happy sitting behind me. I don't know what the deal is. The asshole's not even going to bother dimming their damn lights. Really appreciate it, asshole. So, I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, I don't normally reposition until the load's finalized, but hey, you know what? We did it. All right, after this car, there is plenty of room to pass if this four-wheeler behind me wants to do it. I don't want to turn on my brights to show them because I can see tail lights in front of me. If I can see headlights or tail lights in front of me, that means that the car in front of me can see my headlights. So I don't turn my brights on if I can see lights in front of me. Or at least I try not to. The car behind me is, I guess I didn't realize that they could have passed me twice where we had multiple lanes back there, because the car behind me is now like riding my ass and dipping out into the oncoming traffic, looking around me and stuff like that. I do not like bidirectionals. And this jackass just turned their fucking brights on. Now they turned them off. So, yeah, it looks like I'm going to be spending Christmas in Williston, North Dakota. I'm surprised that there is a TA truck stop just south of Williston. So, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there early enough to deliver the load when I get there, but whether I deliver the load when I first get there or I have to wait until after the holiday to deliver, either way, I'm most likely going to be spending my holiday at the TA truck stop on the south side of Williston, North Dakota. Sorry, it's really hard for me to concentrate and talk when I'm driving, and it just gets the issue gets there's so much stuff going on, and it just gets compounded when I'm on like sketchy roads, like bi-directional roads like this, or if I'm driving in bad weather, which we might have some bad weather videos coming up. I might be driving on some snow-covered roads doing 25 miles an hour. I'll shut it down if it gets bad, but I still might have to drive on some sketchy roads because they've just had so much snow. All right, they're going around me. I'm going to go ahead and slow down. They've just had so much snow up in the north that I'm expecting that there's still probably going to be some snow on the roads. It's just going to be really, really hard for them to keep up with the roads with the amount of snow that they've been getting up in the northern half of the country. But I love snow, so I'm looking forward to getting out in the snow, seeing it. Not looking forward to driving in it, and hopefully the winds aren't too bad. For anybody who drives in the snow, a little, some tips about some snow driving, ice driving. Um, the key to driving on snow and ice is to not drive on snow and ice. um, there's you can never completely eliminate risk whenever you're driving one of these trucks. You can just mitigate risk. You can reduce your risk. And when you're driving on snow and ice, your risk, even if you are driving absolutely perfect, your risk is really high. So the best thing for snow and ice is to just avoid it altogether. If you cannot avoid it, then some keys to snow and ice driving is to not drive very fast. There are a lot of idiots out there that think because they have, you know, a really heavy load or they have four-wheel drive or what they have traction tires or they have chains on or whatever. They think that they can drive fast because of that. Or, they have a lot of experience driving on snow. That allows them to drive fast. It's okay for them to drive fast because of whatever stupid reason they come up with. Going fast on snow and ice is not the issue. The issue is stopping. And I've never heard a four-wheel stop. There isn't any kind of stopping mechanism that allows you to drive at high speeds on slippery surfaces. There's nothing that's going to help you stop faster if you're speeding, if you're going too fast for road conditions. So if you have four-wheel drive and that allows you to get better traction, allows you to go faster, that's not going to help you stop if something happens. Like if somebody pulls out in front of you or anything happens, really. And I'll try to remember where I'm at, but I think I need to make a, no, I don't need to make a turn in this town. We just get to drive through this town. And I don't have anybody behind me. And I don't like to get into the right lane when I'm driving through small towns like this because they're not really good at keeping the trees trimmed back. So I try to stay out in the left lane when I'm driving through small towns to avoid hitting branches. Also, that right lane can sometimes be too damn narrow. They'll sometimes have a curb instead of like a shoulder. Like if they've widened the streets and added extra lanes, sometimes that right lane will be really narrow and right up against a curb. There's a couple of reasons that I don't like to be in that lane. Drainage, they can have some really big ruts for drainage in that lane. All kinds of reasons. I prefer to stay out in that left lane through towns. And there was nobody that I could see behind me, so that's what we did. But yeah, keep a slow speed. Now, rookie drivers get into a lot of accidents on snow and ice. And it's not just rookie drivers. There's a lot of veterans. There's people that have, they've had 20-year careers, never had an accident. And they get complacent. Their confidence gets a little bit too high. And they start doing stupid stuff. They start cutting corners. And they eventually get into an accident. They fail to appreciate how dangerous driving these roads is. And rookies are really bad about doing what other people are doing. It's like teenagers in high school or middle school or whatever. They run with the crowd. They just kind of like do whatever other people around them are doing, which is really bad. If they see somebody driving 60 miles per hour in the snow, in one of these big trucks, they'll be like, okay, I guess that's normal. That's what I should be doing, is driving 60 mile per hour on snow-covered roads in one of these trucks. And they'll get out there and do the same thing. So, number one on snow and ice, go slow. The reason you're going slow is so that you can stop if you need to. The faster you're going, the harder it is to stop. And if you need to stop quickly and you're going really fast, then you have to get more aggressive with your braking. And that is the thing you do not want to do on snow and ice, is you do not want to do any kind of hard braking, hard turning, hard acceleration. You don't want any kind of hard movements, no jerky movements. You want everything to be slow and smooth, because jerky movements cause you to break traction. And it doesn't matter if you weigh, 100 pounds or, 1,000,000 pounds. Once you lose traction on snow and ice, it is really hard to get it back. So you go slow and you maintain following distance as much as possible so that if you do encounter something to where you need to stop or slow down, you can do it slowly without having to hit the brakes hard. Because if you hit the brakes hard on snow and ice, you're most likely going to lose control. You're going to jackknife and you're going to slide into something. All right, there's nobody behind me. We're just going to stay in the left lane. Why is it that whenever somebody wants to pass, we never have a passing lane? And every time I hit a passing lane, there's nobody around me. I have 94 miles, an hour and a half left, and we're already at 51 minutes on this video. Am I going to record for another hour and a half? Do you really want to? I can talk forever. I can talk for 10 hours. I can just keep coming up with shit to say. That's not a problem, but I don't know if somebody would want to listen. There might be a couple of people that would be like, yeah, keep talking for like 4 hours. That'll give me something to listen to while I drive. But I think the vast majority of people don't want to listen to me for that long. So I'll probably try to wrap this video up. I don't know. And I might go another 40 minutes for all I know. We'll see. But yeah, even though you don't really see me doing snow and ice driving because I get to pick my own damn loads and I'm able to stay out of the snow and ice if I want to, I do have quite a bit of snow and ice experience. A lot more than most. Um, Back when I was driving like 15 years ago, I lived in Reno, Nevada. And when I drove with Swift, I drove back and forth across Donner a lot. I didn't chain very much, though, whenever I was with Swift because I was only with Swift for like 5 or 6 months. So it was the early part of, I started with Swift in like May or June. And it was just the early part of the winter that I was still with them. And I was able to wait out chain requirements most of the time. So I think I only chained a couple of times when I was with Swift. And I had another over the road job while I lived in Reno that I think I only chained once or twice with that job. Most of my chaining experience is from whenever I did line haul. I drove for Conway Western Express, which became XPO, which I believe is now RXO. I have an XPO Logistics fuel card, and I got an email that they were rebranding to RXO, and they said that I wouldn't have to get a new card or anything. So my card is still going to say XPO, and the new cards that they send out are going to say RXO. But anyway, I drove for them for about a year, maybe 2 years. I can't remember the exact amount of time. Man, this has got some bright ass lights. Yeah, never bothered dimming his damn lights. I don't know if they were the bright lights or if they were just out of adjustment, but they became more and more blinding the closer I got to them. Some people out here with they just forget they have their brights on. They just don't pay attention to what's going on. They're so distracted talking on their phone or listening to the radio or doing something else that they just completely forget that they have their brights on. They just are spaced out. Drugs, alcohol, whatever. Distracted. There's lots of reasons. I'll turn the brights on for just a second or two. But yeah, whenever I was driving line haul, well, working for Conway, you don't hire into a position like most of these LTL companies. Most of these LTL companies, whenever you hire on as a dock worker or a local pickup and delivery driver or a line haul driver. With Conway, they just hired drivers, and that's it. The drivers worked the dock, the drivers did line haul, the drivers did local pickup and delivery. It's just whatever the hell they needed that day is what you did. That's one of the things I really hated about the job is that, you know, I was on call 24/7, 365. Even though they were closed on the weekends, there would be times when they would call me in on the weekend to do a pickup or delivery on the weekend or to do a line haul run on the weekend. So even though they were closed on the weekend, there were still times that I worked on the weekend. We all had a key to the gate. We all had keys to the office and everything so that we could get into the building. Come on. Well, at least they did turn off their brights after blinding me for like 5 seconds. Um, but that really sucked because you had no idea what you were going to be doing. So you might get off work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and as soon as your 10-hour break was up, they could call you in. If you had, if they would look at your hours to see like whenever you got off work. So if you did a short line haul run and your 10-hour break was up at like 10 a.m. and you were expecting to work line haul again the following day, and you went ahead and stayed up all night and went to bed at like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, they might call you at 10 a.m. an hour or two after you went to sleep and tell you to come in and do local pickup and delivery, and they would threaten to fire you if you didn't show up. I butted heads with them over that shit, like really bad. They would call me in, expect me to be there within 10 or 15 minutes. They're like, I know you only live like 2 miles away. You should be here within 15 minutes when I call you. And I'm like, no. If you want me to come in, you need to give me 2 hour notice. You have no idea what's going on with me. You have no idea what I'm doing, what I've got to wrap up. You need to give me at least 2 hours notice whenever you call me in for a shift. And I'm pretty sure that's the fucking law. So I butted heads with them over that. They would also tell you that if they didn't call you in that day, to just show up for line haul at 8 p.m. So I would show up at 8 p.m. and then like around 10 or 11 o'clock at night, they would come in there and sometimes and be like, all right, we don't have any more loads. You guys can go home. And they would not pay for the 2 to 3 hours that I would sit there waiting on a load. I was like, no, no, no. If you guys tell me to show up for work, you have to pay me a minimum of 2 hours just for showing up. And they're like, nope. There were lots of like labor laws that they did not follow. Well, wait, the last guy didn't dim their lights. This person at least dimmed them at the last second. No one else has their brights on, just those two jackasses. But anyway, that's where I got most of my snow and chaining experience. Was the worst line haul run that they had, the worst job that they had. Whenever you were the bottom of the seniority list, what everybody at the bottom of the seniority list had to do, like people that were up in the seniority list, a lot of them they like day shift, which is dock work and local pickup and delivery. So a lot of the senior people worked. Uh, they bid on uh, dock work and local pickup and delivery. The worst job at the terminal was line haul going to Sacramento, California, driving across Donner, Reno to Sacramento. It's only like 150, 175 miles, somewhere in that area. And it was just a really shitty job because it was a lot of dock work, not very much mileage, and it was a night shift that people didn't like to do. And there was a lot of drama at the Sacramento terminal. All of the California drivers were lazy sons of bitches. Oh my God, they were so fucking lazy. The Reno drivers, and then there were some California drivers that were good. The Reading drivers, the drivers that came in from Reading, there was only like one or two of them. They were good workers. They were hard workers. But it was basically the Reno drivers and the Reading drivers that did all the work, and then all the California drivers are a bunch of lazy pieces of shit. And what I mean by lazy pieces of shit, if you've never worked line haul, you've never done dock work, what they would do in like if instead of actually loading the trailers, they would just dock the stuff. So what we did when we worked the dock is we would go and each of us would unload a trailer. We would go and get a trailer to unload, and we would unload that trailer, and we would load the stuff into other trailers. And the lazy people would take forever to unload their trailer, and they would not. Are you going to bother dimming your lights? No. They dimmed them the last second. Is this person going to dim their lights there? They just dim their lights. Um, they would just stage their freight out in front of the trailer it was supposed to go into. So instead of putting it in the trailer, they would just set it in front of the trailer on the dock and put the paperwork on the clipboard for that trailer. And other people would have to load that stuff into the trailer for them. The reason they did that is because you almost always had to use dunnage and load racks and stuff like that to load stuff into the trailer. Now, if it was really easy for them to put it in there, they didn't really have to do any work. It was about as easy as them putting it on the dock, then they would go ahead and do that. But there were only like 2 line haul runs where you had to work the dock at a remote terminal. And it was the this is not going to bother dimming them. Just keep your fucking brights on. Thanks a lot, jackass. How these fucking people out here, man. But the Sacramento terminal, you had to work the dock really long hours. And it was a really shitty dock to work at. They had some really annoying supervisors there that were a pain in the ass to deal with. And all the California drivers that went there were really annoying, lazy. The only other route, Jesus, man, there's a really nasty, uneven lane line over on the left. Looks like they've repaved the other side of the road. They haven't repaved this side yet. And I've clipped that line a couple of times, and it jerks my steers really bad. But the only other line haul run where you work the dock was Oakland. And the Oakland run was like not a guaranteed run. It didn't always happen. It was a fairly rare run. The only time we ever had, also there was a San Jose run that was fairly rare that you did not work the dock on I think it was San Jose. No, it was Stockton. Stockton's what I'm thinking of. The way line haul works is if they have enough freight to, you know, going to Oakland from Reno, then they'll load up an entire trailer with just Oakland freight That way, it's less work at the Sacramento terminal. The Sacramento terminal was the main hub in Central California to redistribute freight. But if we had like enough freight going to other places, then we would load up an entire trailer going there. And sometimes we would have like 2 trailer fulls going to Stockton or Oakland, and we would have runs going to those 2 places. But it wasn't very often. Anyway, I'm getting a little sidetracked here. We're talking about driving on snow and chaining up and stuff like that, and I'm talking about all the line haul runs they had at the terminal. All right, they're going for the pass. You better get after it, bro. That person's truck is a little bit underpowered for them to be out doing that kind of stupidity. I was like, why in the hell are you not passing me? And then they come by me, and I don't know if you could hear it on the mic, but like their engine was revved up really loud, and they weren't moving very quick. Like I'm going 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. I'm going 65 and a 75. So that pickup truck had no power whatsoever, zero acceleration. Maybe they had a whole bunch of stuff in the bed of the pickup and it was just heavy. I don't know what the deal was, but that thing accelerated so slow. I thought I was going to have to slow down for them to get back over in front of me without having a head-on collision. That shit is why I hate bi-directional roads. Head-on collisions. So anyway, yeah. So because the Sacramento line haul run was the worst job that you could possibly have at that terminal, that's what all the people that just started, that's what you basically did for your first year minimum. Sometimes, it just depends on what the turnover is like at the terminal. You may be running that particular run for 2 years or more if nobody's quitting above you on the seniority list. But I did that run for a 1 to 2 years. My entire time I was there, I never moved off that run. I occasionally did some runs up above that one, but it was only because of other guys taking vacation or taking the day off because of bad weather or something like that. A lot of people would like call in sick if it was a really bad weather day. But anyway, yeah, back and forth across Donner, I-80, Reno to Sacramento. There were lots of days where I would chain going both, I would chain twice a day. I would chain going from Reno to Sacramento, and then I would chain again coming back from Sacramento to Reno after working on the dock for several hours. It sucked. And we had really, really, really high turnover in the winter because of chaining. We would have new drivers that would just sit there in the chain up area and would just sit there until they ran out of hours, until they only had like 1 or 2 hours left on their clock, and dispatch would tell them to just turn around and go back to Reno. And I don't know if the drivers were getting fired or if they were quitting. It's not really something that was discussed at the terminal. I mean, we all knew who the people were that were refusing to chain up or couldn't chain up or whatever, and were just sitting there parked on the shoulder during chain requirements. but they would usually just disappear after a couple of weeks. After 2 or 3 times of them sitting there refusing to chain up or not being able to chain up. Hazmat must follow 277 or 2105. All right, we have a railroad crossing and a stoplight coming up according to Google. I see the flashing lights for it. Yeah, I got good at chaining up. I got to where I could chain the truck in under 20 minutes. Like, if everything went perfect, I could chain the truck in approximately 15 minutes. And that includes, time to get my wetsuit on. I carried rain gear with me for chain days. Half a mile, keep right at the fork. Follow signs from US 67 South, US 277 South. Because you do not want to be chaining. Ugh, that's a decent little bump. You do not want to be chaining out in the snow without rain gear on. You will get soaking wet. Because you're doing a lot of reaching underneath the trailer to put the chains on the tires, and the snow is falling onto the trailer and melting, and um, it's just like raining down the side of the trailer. So you're working on the edge of the trailer. Continue for 1.5 miles. And there's a lot of water running down the side of the trailer, and then the snow that's falling on you. Even if it's not water, there's still just a tremendous amount of snow that's falling onto you and melting and turning into water. You get soaking wet whenever you're chaining. Like, even if it takes you only 15 minutes to chain up, if I didn't do it in a rain suit, I would have gotten soaking wet. Hazmat must use the 306. I'm going to use the 306. It's a nice little town bypass. Take the Texas 306 loop south exit. Use the left lane to take the Texas 306 loop south ramp. Continue for 3 miles. I think once I get to the south side of town, once I get back onto whatever highway I'm going to be getting onto, I think I'm finally on a divided highway through most of the rest of the drive. Sorry, we're going through a lot of interchanges, and I'm having to check a lot of mirrors through here and make sure I'm in the right lane and all kinds of good stuff. I'm going to try to avoid going this way on the way back. I'm going to try to find a better path that has a better, like, divided highway or something. All right. So we have like, I don't know, 5 or 10 miles of this. And then I cut across back over to some highway that I think might be a nice divided highway. We'll have to wait and see. I can't remember. I don't remember every little detail on the route, and I've never been on this road before. Looks like some body of water over to the right, and there's somebody out there. Saw a little light. So yeah, rain suit should definitely be in your supplies as a truck driver. I have the exact same rain suit that I had from when I drove 15, 20 years ago. I bought that rain suit whenever I was driving for Swift. I delivered to some really small, like, feed store in Washington State. I can't remember the name of the town. It was some really tiny town off of some highway or state road or something. And the guy that owned the store looked exactly like you remember the Munsters, the really the Frankenstein dude from the Munsters. Whoever played that character on the Munsters, he also was in Pet Cemetery. You remember that guy? The dude that owned that store looked exactly like him. He looked so much like him that I went onto the internet afterwards and like looked him up to see where he lived to see if it was him. I can't remember the actor's name, but it was Herman Munster in the Munsters, and I don't remember what his character's name was in Pet Cemetery. But the guy looked exactly like him. He had a really deep voice like him and everything. But anyway, um, after I got unloaded, I was browsing around in the store and I saw rain suits in there, and I was like, I need a rain suit. So I went ahead and bought one, and I still have it to this day. It is still in perfect condition. Like, you would think that it would get brittle or something over that time, but it's a rubber rain suit and it is still in like perfect condition. And I used that thing many, many, many times when I was a line haul driver, and a few times when I was just a regular over the road driver. But those are a couple of snow tips. If you're going to be chaining and stuff like that, I have no intention of ever chaining again. If I ever encounter roads that require chains, the only way that I will chain is if I'm forced to chain. Like, there's an unexpected snowstorm and I'm caught in it, and like I have to keep moving, because a lot of these states, the reason they have chain requirements, like certain months of the year, or if you drive on certain roads, you have to have chains with you. The reason that's a requirement is you are not allowed to park alongside the road and just wait for the chain requirements to fall off. State troopers, highway patrol will drive up and down the road, and they'll come up and knock on your door if they don't see you out putting chains on, and they'll tell you to get some damn chains on and get moving. And if you don't, they'll write you a ticket. If you don't have chains, they'll write you a ticket, and if you refuse to put them on, they'll write you a ticket. I don't have chains. I have auto socks. The reason I have auto socks is because they weigh next to nothing. I have no idea how well auto socks work in comparison to chains. They're supposed to work almost as good as chains, and they're supposedly a lot easier to put on than chains, but I don't plan on ever using them. The only reason I have them is to fulfill chain requirement laws. All right, I'm going to be making a right-hand turn up here. So we're just slowing down and getting ready for that turn because I have no idea what it's going to look like because we're on like a state road. I don't know if it's going to be a complete stop. It looks like it's going to be a complete stop. Take the next right onto Farm to Market Road 1223 North. Signs for US 87. Then take the ramp on the left to El Dorado. Yeah, there's the sign that says hazmat this direction. So the hazmat loads that were forced to bypass town, this is how they get back onto the 277. Damn, that was a fucked up intersection. I was trying to look at all the signs and everything. See, like, who's supposed to be stopping here? I hate jacked up intersections like that. Like, it's okay for locals that go through those intersections on a daily basis. They get used to them. But, like, if it's your one and only time to ever drive through that intersection, you're just confused as hell. All right, got 2.5 miles and then a stop sign, left-hand turn to get back onto the 277. I was on the 277 before town. I'm going to be getting back on the 277 after town, but this was just a town bypass, so I didn't drive through the middle of town. Really nice divided highway over this last few miles. I hope the 277 for the rest of the drive, or the majority of the rest of the drive, is nice divided highway. I've got 62 miles left until I get to the Road Ranger in Sonora, and the Road Ranger only has like 10 parking spots. So, and I didn't see any other truck stops in town. So if I get to Road Ranger and there are no spots left, I don't know what in the hell I'm going to do. And I'm really looking forward to getting a look at the freight bill and making sure all the information matches up with what was listed on the load board. And um, sorry, Google is doing something really stupid right now. Google is wanting me to turn right here, make a left turn right here, and drive down some residential street to cut over to the 277 instead of just staying on this road all the way to the 277. All right, I got like a quarter of a mile. Let's read the signs here. Take the exit toward US 277 South. All right, this is the exit to 277 South. That's where I want to go. All right, looks like we're going to drive down a service road. I don't have any kind of stop or yield sign. I have the right of way. We're going to come up here to a stoplight, make a left, drive across the road, and then get on the highway. They don't have like very good signs to let you know what in the hell. All right, there's a sign that says 277 south that way. It would have been nice if they had some more signs before that. Oh, look at this person stopping way the hell back. Give me plenty of room to make that turn. Now we're going to make another left-hand turn. There's another sign right there. They're only putting the signs like right at the damn turn. If you didn't have GPS telling you what was going on, it would be really hard to follow these damn signs. All right, doesn't look like they have a stop sign. All right, there's nobody coming after this guy. All right, here we go. This is a really, they could have done a better job on this bypass. This is a real pain in the ass to get back onto the 277. All right, we got a stop sign coming up. Turn left onto Grand Canal Road, then turn right onto US 277 South. Oh, I fucking love these intersections. So, a left and then an immediate right. So I have to make a right turn while I'm blocking traffic from my left turn. And now we're back onto the 277 South. Continue on US 277 South for 10 miles. That was a really stupid bypass. But it's over and done with. Should be smooth sailing from here on out. And it looks like the cars that were behind me turned off and went elsewhere. I don't see anybody behind me anymore. Speed limit sign says 60. We're doing 60 right now. And it looks like that one says 75. All right, we're going to turn the cruise back on to 65. 58 miles to go to the Road Ranger in Sonora. I hope that they don't surprise me with a hazmat load or anything like that. I'm really like worried right now that, because like I said at the beginning of this video, I normally do not drive to pick up a load until I have all of the information on the freight bill and I have everything, because I don't want to drive 2 or 3 hours to pick up a load, get there, and then look at the information and find out that, you know, the agent broker lied, and, you know, the load is nowhere near as good as what they posted on the board. Well, no more nice divided highway. Now we're back to this bidirectional bullshit. Almost the entire drive is this bidirectional bullshit. Looks like the only time we got on some nice divided highways was right when we got around San Angelo there. I think that was the town we just drove through. Going around the bypass. The main reason I took the bypass was because I saw like 277 through the middle of town look like Main Street. And it looked like there were just a ton of stoplights. And it was probably like a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. So even though it was a really jacked up thing to get back over to the, get off the bypass back on 277 was a janky route. It was probably faster and easier than driving through the middle of town. This person's not going to bother dimming their damn lights. All right, right lane is ending. All right, you are blinding the shit out of me. Okay, there they finally fucking dim their damn lights. I try not to turn my brights on people, even if they are bright lighting me, but sometimes you just have to. Like, if you can't see anything, you just have to turn your damn brights on to counter other people's bright lights. That's the only way you can see. So if that person had not dimmed their lights, I was just about to turn my damn brights on because they were blinding the hell out of me. I am looking forward to getting up into the northern half of the country and, seeing all the snow and everything. I looked at the 10-day weather forecast in Williston, North Dakota, and they're supposed to get some lows that are like negative 20 degrees. Now, I don't really want to be it's not supposed to be that cold a lot. Like most of the temperatures are supposed to be right around 20 to 30 degrees. Now that's good. 20 to 30 degrees is good. Extreme cold, like negative 20 degrees, I don't really like being in weather that cold. When you're in weather that cold, if there's just a little bit of wind, like your any exposed skin will numb in a matter of seconds with it being that cold with a little bit of wind. Also, it's really hard on equipment when you're in that weather that cold. I'll go back and we'll tell you a story. Now, you can go back and watch the YouTube video on this. I don't know the exact date, but I've pretty much video logged everything that I've done in trucking on this channel. So this was back when I was at USA Truck. I was picking up a load in Spring Hill, Kansas that was going, I think, down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There was a huge Arctic weather event that was coming down, and it was really big news. And it was the Arctic weather event where it was snowing down in Mexico. It was like one of the first ones that had happened in a long time. And it was when I was an owner operator with USA Truck. And what I decided to do was I wanted to get a load and get down south out of this winter weather event. And so I was like, this thing is supposed to come down into Texas, Louisiana, like pretty much everywhere. Okay, these lights are fucking bright. There, they dimmed them. My God, man. Dumbasses. Like, if you have to have your brights on to drive around at night, you probably shouldn't have a driver's license. Your vision is probably not good enough to have a driver's license. You're dangerous. You're a road hazard. You're reducing other people's visibility. You're making it really dangerous for them. You shouldn't have a fucking license. Anyway, so I booked a load that was picking up in Spring Hill, Kansas at Clorox. It was, which is Spring Hill, Kansas is basically southwest Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, however you want to look at it. Oh, is this car going to make it by me before this lane ends? We will see. Oh, it's a truck. It's a pickup truck. They're like a half mile behind me. I don't know how much longer this lane goes on. All right, there's the sign that says the lane ends soon. I don't think they're going to make it. Yeah. Yeah, it's not happening. Next passing lane is only 2 miles. It's not going to kill him to set behind me for 2 miles. So anyway, the load was like, I barely made it in front of the Arctic weather event. Like, I was dealing with cold temperatures and I was dealing with a little bit of frozen precipitation, but I just barely stayed ahead of the Arctic weather. And and uh, once I got to Georgia, basically, I was a decent ways ahead of the Arctic weather event to the point where I wasn't dealing with frozen precipitation. Um, but then, went down to Fort Lauderdale and sat there for almost a week waiting it out. And then I booked a load from somewhere, I think in Georgia, over to Texas. But anyway, that's beside the point. The Arctic weather, the cold front, was already there before I picked the load up in Spring Hill. So I got to Spring Hill the night before so that I could take a 10-hour break before I picked the load up so that I could, get as many miles as quickly as possible. So I got there the night before. I parked along the street in front of the shipper, and I think the low, the overnight low was like -8 degrees or something like that. Might have been -15. Actually, I think the daytime high was like -8 degrees. I think overnight it got down to like -15 or -20, something like that. Are you going to fucking pass? This guy is not passing me. Son of a bitch. Maybe they're turning soon or something and they don't want to get in front of me. I mean, that would be the nice thing to do. Like, if you have a turn coming up, don't pass somebody so that they have to come to a fucking stop for you to make a turn. Also, the speed limit dropped from 75 down to 65, and I have my cruise set at 65. Passing lane in 4 miles. So, yeah, I think that the daytime high was like -5 degrees. And overnight, it got down to like -15, -20, something like that. Well, whenever I shut my truck off and set the brakes, overnight, my airbags deflated. And my mud flaps will touch the ground when the truck sets and the airbags deflate. So whenever I started the truck up the next day, it built up air pressure, it aired the airbags back up, all that good stuff. And I heard noises whenever you know, it was airing the airbags up. Occasionally you hear noises whenever that's happening. It's not abnormal. I didn't think much of it. And I pulled into the place and picked up the trailer. And whenever I was doing my walk around inspections, whenever I dropped the trailer and picked up the other trailer, wait, was it a drop and hook? I can't remember if it was a drop and hook or if it was a live load. Whatever it was, I did an inspection, and whenever I walked around the truck and trailer, I noticed that my mud flap was completely missing. My right mud flap on the tractor. What shit is going on? All right, somebody up in front of me making a right turn. It looks like several vehicles turning in right here. This looks to be the popular gas station in the area. This might be where the vehicle behind me was turning off. The reason they didn't pass me. Yep, that's where the vehicle behind me turned. All right, are we still at 60? Yeah, that sign still says 60. I have one more vehicle behind me. So what had happened was the mud flap froze to the ground. And when I turned the truck back on and the airbags reinflated, all right, speed limit back up to 75, turn the cruise back on to 65. Son of a bitch. The pickup truck behind me moved over in the right lane with me. They don't want to pass. Well, I don't want you riding my ass. I don't like having headlights in my mirror. I wish they would pass. I'm going 10 under the damn speed limit. They're probably the same thing. They're probably have a turn coming up and they're being considerate and they're trying not to get in front of me so I don't have to slam on my damn brakes for a turn. But yeah, my mud flap froze to the ground, and when my airbags aired up, it snapped the bar off. The bar that holds the mud flap on snapped off. And then when I was raising the landing gear, next passing lane 3 miles. So it must have been a drop and hook. Because whenever I was raising the landing gear, the bolt that holds the landing gear on, the landing gear handle, it shattered into like several pieces. The bolt shattered. That's what cold weather does. It makes metal brittle. If you do not have metal that's specifically designed for those extremely cold temperatures, it'll make it brittle and it'll snap. So Really cold weather is really hard on vehicles. If you have any weak points, they get weaker in extreme temperatures with, either it being hot or cold. I'm going to turn my brights on for just a second. Oh, there's a deer right over there to the right. I don't know why. This guy is riding my ass. You had plenty of time to go around me. All right, looks like he's going to do it this time. He's going to use this passing lane to go around. So yeah, just that extreme cold that I dealt with, and that's the coldest temperatures that I've dealt with since I've been back in trucking, was in Kansas City when that Arctic front came down. And I had to put the truck in the shop to get the mud flap replaced. The whole mud flap, because I couldn't find the damn mud flap. I went back out there where I parked alongside the road and I walked the entire thing and I couldn't find the mud flap anywhere. So I had to buy a mud flap and a bar and had the whole thing replaced. It cost me like $150, labor, parts, everything. And USA Truck refused to pay $50 to have the bolt replaced on the landing gear handle. Parts and labor, $50. They were like, I'm not paying somebody $50 to put a bolt on. They asked me to do it. And TA told me that they couldn't have me doing work on the truck inside their shop. So they said I'd have to do it out in the parking lot. And they felt sorry for me. So they did it for free without doing a ticket or anything on it. They just installed the bolt for me in the shop because USA Truck refused to pay for it. That was one of the things that really pissed me off about USA Truck. Like, I just paid $150 to put a mud flap on, and you're not willing to do your half. Like, we're business partners. And I just paid a lot of money at the shop to get my truck in good working order. And you're refusing to pay and asking me to do you a favor and go work on it out in this, like, it was like -20 or -30 with wind, including wind chill. Like, the wind chill was like -20, -30 that day. That's the reason TA felt bad for me about me doing the work myself out in the weather. A second, I think this truck's going to go for the pass. They're riding my. This is the reason I don't like somebody behind me on bidirectional. It's because this jackass is riding my ass, and they're trying to look around me for an opportunity to pass. So their fucking headlight is in my mirror. It's just fucking annoying, man. I hate having somebody riding my ass, hugging the left side of the lane, shining their fucking headlight in my mirror. Impatient jackass. I'm having to put my fucking hand over the mirror. I don't know if this asshole has their brights on or if they just have out of adjustment lights, but their fucking headlights are so bright. And he keeps getting over in the far left lane because he's an impatient asshole. Or she, I don't know what it is. But it's pissing me off. I hope we get a passing lane soon. If I was in a car, like what he's trying to do right now is intimidate me into going faster, riding like 3 inches off my bumper. But I'm in a bigger truck. You don't intimidate me. These assholes in these pickup trucks will try to do that to fucking cars. They'll ride like 3 inches off their bumper with their fucking bright lights on. Thank you for finally turning your brights off, jackass. Got this asshole behind me shining his fucking headlight in my mirror and oncoming traffic with their fucking brights on. This is the shit that I hate about bidirectional roads. It's already dangerous enough, and then these assholes are creating, you know, even more low visibility situations that is just completely unnecessary, making it even more dangerous. But yeah, those are the kind of temperatures that I'm going to be dealing with whenever I get up to North Dakota. Not every day is supposed to be. Jesus, man, this fucking asshole behind me. There's a fucking passing lane in like a half a mile to a mile. And this asshole just keeps getting over into the far left, blinding the fucking shit out of me with their damn headlight. Stupid fucking idiot. Fucking moron. Yeah, this guy, they don't have their brights on, but this fucking idiot coming around me right now has their damn lights out of adjustment. Oh, that's the reason their fucking headlights are shining up so high. They're moving and they have their truck completely full of shit. And that'll cause the truck to angle to where the headlights are shining straight forward, just like brights. Fucking jackass. 32 miles. It looks like this is just going to be a really long driving video. I was supposed to stop it, but I just kept rambling. Like I told you earlier, like I could talk my entire drive shift, passing lane in 5 miles. I don't have a problem with talking. I can just talk forever. We'll figure out something to talk about. Um, but I was supposed to wrap this up, so this wasn't like an insanely long video. But I didn't do that. So I guess with it, we're only 30 miles away at this point. I might as well just record until we get all the way there. And if I get to the road ranger and there's nowhere to park, I'll check and see what the address is where I'm picking up, and I'll see if there's anywhere to park at that address. I might just go over to the shipper and park there. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know where the shipper is. Sometimes you'll get an address for, let's say this is Sonora. They'll tell you that you're picking up in Sonora, Texas. And in actuality, the warehouse is like 15, 20 miles outside of Sonora. So the place I'm picking up at may not be close to town. It may be quite a ways away from town. So there might be another truck stop over in that direction. I don't know. We'll have to see once I get down here to the road ranger. If I ran across a rest area, which I don't think I'm going to run across a rest area on this highway, then I would pull into the rest area if they had parking, and I would check the address, and I would change my trip plan, because I know that that she sent me the freight bill with all the detailed information by now, because while I was driving, I saw several texts come across. I hope she didn't just fucking text me the freight bill. That would piss me off. I hope she emailed it to me. I mean, if she wants to text it to me as well, that's fine. But if all she did was text it to me, I'd be upset. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up north into some colder temperatures. Like right now, it's cool down here in Texas because we do have an Arctic front that's dipping down here all the way into Texas. Like yesterday, I think it got up to like 70 degrees. And today, the high was only like 40 or 45, something like that. I can't remember what the high was today, but there was a significant drop in temperature overnight. All right, I got some four-wheeler just caught up with me. That sign said passing lane in 2 miles, so hopefully they can be a little bit more patient than the last asshole. $28 more miles. But yeah, while I'm parked over the weekend, it looks like this person might be going for it. They're going for the pass right now. Oh, they have good acceleration. That was an easy pass. That was a lot better than that pickup truck earlier that just made a lot of noise. That truck made hardly any noise at all. That one that passed me slow, man, that thing was really loud. It made a lot of noise, but didn't really do anything. That's the way a lot of people are. Their bark is a lot worse than their bite. But yeah, when I get up to Williston, sitting through the holiday, I hope it's a winter wonderland. I hope it snows the whole damn weekend. I hope it's like an awesome little winter wonderland while I'm up there. I've been in a little bit of snow a couple of times in the last few years, but I haven't really, while I've been a truck driver, I haven't really dealt with any kind of decent amount of snow. Like just, a dusting is about all I've dealt with. I've been really good about staying out of the weather as a truck driver. There's somebody catching up with me. They're still about a half a mile to three-quarters of a mile behind me, but they have their damn brights on. Hopefully they turn them off as they get closer. Next passing lane in 4 miles. "25 miles to the Road Ranger." Yeah, the last national forecast that I looked at, and I think the website that I look at for the national forecast is NOAA.gov, and it gives a 3-day forecast: today, tomorrow, and the next day for the I don't think it's the whole U.S. I think it's just the contiguous U.S. I could be wrong on that. Alaska and Hawaii may be included in that forecast, but I don't really drive in those states. I've never looked for them on the map. But if I remember correctly, weather today is pretty good for going up the 2935 corridor. Weather tomorrow, not so good. Tomorrow, after I pick up the load, I should start running into frozen precipitation right around Oklahoma City. But, I didn't research to see exactly when the weather was supposed to happen. All right, this person's doing the same thing that truck was doing, like same thing that everybody fucking does. There they go. They're going for it. Double. This is a no passing area, but they're fucking going for it. We're going through these rolling hills, limited visibility, double yellow line down the center. I mean, now we're in a passing area where it's legal, but they made an illegal pass. When people do that, it's not only putting their life at risk, it's putting my life at risk and any oncoming traffic's life at risk. And it pisses me off when people do that. It's incredibly inconsiderate when people do things that are unsafe that affect other people. Because I don't know, it pisses me off when people do that shit. We got somebody on the shoulder over there. It's a big truck, tanker. $22 miles. But yeah, it's looking like I don't even know how many miles it is, and I haven't really figured out the route that I'm going to take to get like to Oklahoma City. So are those Christmas lights or is there a cop up there? I thought I saw some red and blue flashing lights. All right, speed limit's dropping down to 60. Now it's dropping down to 45, 50, 49, 48, 47, 45. I just ran over something or something fell. Now it's down to 40. I didn't see anything in the road. But there's a whole lot going on, so I might have missed it if there was something. Now we're dropping down to 30. This is probably the last town before Sonora. Because we're only 20 miles from Sonora. A one stoplight town. But yeah, after tomorrow, the next day, if I remember correctly, looked good for the 2935 corridor. So I may not be able to drive too terribly far. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to drive much further than Oklahoma City anyway, because from where I'm at to Oklahoma City, it's quite a ways. I know from Laredo to Oklahoma City is 600 miles. I'm not as far south as Laredo, but there's not like a real direct route from where I'm at to Oklahoma City. So it may be close to 450 or 500 miles. Yeah, just wait till the last fucking second, then pull out. It may be 450 or 500 miles just to get to Oklahoma City. Back up to 75-mile-per-hour speed limit. So we'll turn the cruise back on to 65. And I hope that that weather window, because you can see on the day 3 forecast that there's another snowstorm coming in over on the west coast that'll be making its way across. But I'm hoping I'll be able to make it all the way to Williston in between the snowstorms. And aside from, sorry, I'm just watching these two cars. Oh, you finally dim your lights. I was just making sure one of them wasn't passing the other. Um, Aside from what I talked about earlier, it's going to be, really nice if it does happen to snow while I'm up there in Williston. It'll be nice to, sit in the snow at the truck stop through the weekend, through the holiday weekend. But also, this load is like a really nice Christmas present. $5,000. That's pretty damn nice. It was looking like I was going to be stuck down here in Texas, not making any damn money over the holiday. But now I'll be making $5,000. Well, that's gross. I'm going to have fuel costs and other expenses coming out of that. So it's not like I'm putting that whole $5,000 in my pocket. But I made $2,000 gross on my load from Fort Smith to Abilene. Well, Fort Smith to Amarillo to Abilene, and then 5,000 on this one. So that'll be $7,000 since I left the house. And then if I can get a nice load that's paying, if I can make $3,000 or $4,000 on a load coming out of North Dakota, getting back down south, that should put me in the 8 to 9. Well, no, that'll put me in the $10,000 to $11,000 range. That'll be pretty nice. And I would really love to keep going and do another couple of loads and make at least $15,000 gross. That's my goal. Every time I leave the house and I go out over the road, my goal is to stay out for about a month and make about $15,000 gross to the truck. That's not very hard to do when the market is good. When the market is the way it is right now, it's not just that the market isn't very good, it's also that the freight has moved around a lot. The market has changed. So you have to change the way that you're running to be able to make money in the market. Like People who follow my channel, oh, thanks for finally fucking turning your brights off, jackass. Right before you get right up on me, you turn your fucking brights off. Like I said, I try not to bright light people unless I absolutely have to, because I have like stadium lights on this thing. They are blinding. So it would be almost as dangerous to me as it would be to them on these bi-directional roads for me to turn my brights on. I mean, if I have to, I have to, but I'll avoid it if I possibly can, because I have super, super bright. Like my low beam headlights are incredibly bright, but they're angled down at the ground. My low beams are brighter than most people's high beams. And my high beams are like 2 to 3 times brighter than my low beams. So they are really like stadium lights. It's not going to bother fucking... All right, the person in front dimmed their lights. Person number 2, their left light was out of adjustment, was shining up in the air, squirrel hunting or something. So that's the other problem. It's not just people that have their brights on. It's a lot of people with their lights out of adjustment. A lot of people don't know how to adjust their lights. They just move their lights around until they can see best with them. And your best visibility is pointing them straight forward. Well, low beams are not supposed to be pointed straight forward. They're supposed to be pointed down at an angle. If you have your low beams pointed straight forward, they're going to look exactly like high beams to other people on the road. Anyway, what was I talking about? We got 13 miles left. But yeah, it's not just a matter, oh, that person dimmed their lights as well almost as soon as they saw me. That was nice. Yeah, it's not just a matter of the freight market. I'm going to turn on my high beams for a second. There we go. It's not just a matter of, freight being down. It's a matter of the market moving around. Like I was saying, if you watch my videos, I normally run the western half of the U.S. And if you run the western half of the U.S., I've talked about this several times in my videos, plural, there's a big freight desert in the western half of the country. So if you're operating as a western, a West Coast driver or a western half of the U.S. driver, you are operating off the West Coast. Because there ain't shit out in the western half of the U.S. as far as freight goes, unless you get all the way to the coast. So you go all the way to the coast, and you get loads that come at least halfway across the country or further, and then you try to make your way back to the West Coast. That's what I've done my, whole owner-operator career of, I don't know how long it's been, like 2 years at this point, right around 2 years that I've been an owner-operator. And I'm going to turn on my brights for a second again. 11 miles. Check one more time. We're going over a really tiny little hill. So my forward visibility is limited because of the hill. And I'm not seeing very many cars. If I don't see any cars around me for a while, then I try to turn on my brights for a second or two just to make sure there's no deer standing in the road. If there's a good amount of traffic moving up and down the road, then I'm not too concerned about it. I don't like running with my high beams on, though, unless it's just like out in the middle of nowhere and there's no traffic at all. Like, the only time I typically leave my high beams on is whenever I can run with my high beams on for at least 2 to 3 minutes at a time without seeing another car. 9.7 miles. All right, what in the hell was I talking about before I got distracted? Try to remember. Oh, the freight market moving around. But yeah, that's the way you typically run if you operate on the western half of the U.S. Well, California is what makes the whole western half of the United States a viable freight market. And California sucks for freight right now. Shippers and receivers are bypassing California if they can. The super tankers still have to offload in California because they can't fit through the Panama Canal. But the smaller cargo ships are going through the Panama Canal and offloading Gulf Coast, East Coast, or Great Lakes. And the California market just sucks. So there's really no point in going out west. So that's changed completely the way that I operate. So I'm having to figure out a whole new way of running because the way I normally run, it's, just massive loads, I take a huge load up to like Seattle or Portland, and then I try to find a decent load to get me back over to the central US. Well, you can still find decent loads going to Seattle and Portland right now, but I'm not going to drive across those mountains in the winter. And it's not worth it to go to California because you get paid next to nothing coming out of there. The only loads that pay decent are the ones going to like Seattle and Oregon or to other bad freight markets like Colorado. So you take a mediocre load to California, you take a decent paying load to a bad market, and then you get paid nothing to come out of there. It doesn't add up to good numbers. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out this whole new freight market. I suspect I just heard something else come off my tires. It might have been a rock in the road. It's the second time I've heard something that either hit or fell. Could just have simply been a rock coming off a tire on the road. 6.1 miles. So yeah, I normally deal with these huge mileage runs, like 1,500 plus mile runs, where I only do like one load a week. And what I'm making gross to the truck is like $5,000 to $8,000 a week just doing a one single load. That's the way I normally run. What the shit is going on? That truck looked like it came off the shoulder. I'm catching up with it pretty quick. I think it just came off the shoulder, and this asshole has their fucking brights on. All right, they're getting up to speed. I think that vehicle was on the shoulder, or there might have been a driveway there that I didn't see that they pulled out of. 4.7 miles. But I suspect freight, if you're an East Coast person and you run, the 95 or whatever, you run over in the east, all up and down the east New York State all the way down to Florida. I suspect freight is pretty nice over there right now because a lot of the freight that's bypassing California is offloading up and down that coast. But I'm not sure about that because I don't really pay attention to loads coming out of those areas because I don't really take loads into those areas. If I ever do take a load over to those areas, I'll research them, but I don't really like going over there. And I have seen people complaining about rates over on the East Coast. There was somebody that posted on the truckers subreddit about some really cheap load from North Carolina going to like California. It was paying like I forget what it was paying, like $1.23 a mile to go from North Carolina all the way to California. It's paying like, I don't know, right around $3,000 to go cross country. I'm just like, I know that there are agents and excuse me, a little hiccup. I know that there are agents and brokers that post loads at ridiculously cheap rates. That's why you always have to use filters when you're looking at loads on load boards, because the vast majority of loads are just ridiculously cheap loads, just paid nothing, like 50-cent dollar a mile crap. There's a deer right there on the right in the grass. I was almost alongside of it when I saw it. 1.9 miles. I'm going to go ahead and tap the brakes and let it slow down. 1.6 miles. But yeah, at those kind of rates, even if you have your own authority and you're getting the full rate at $1.23 a mile, that's still nothing. Like it's really hard. I don't know how people could stay in business running loads like that. And I've been hearing about a lot of people complaining that like the best loads that they can find are $2 a mile, like the absolute best loads. And those aren't always the loads that they're running. Those are like the best loads available are like $2 a mile. And that's the reason that, I choose to lease to Landstar is because like I average probably somewhere around like on the worst loads that I haul, I make about $2.40 a mile gross to the truck. That's what I'm making on the load is about 240, 250 a mile on the worst loads that I haul. This load right here that I'm picking up pays $2. What I'm making on the load is $2.66 a mile. That's what like people bash on Landstar because of the 65% cut, but a cut means nothing unless you know what you're getting a cut of. Those brokers on the spot market are scum. Like they will take massive cuts off those loads. All right, let's see what we got going. Oh man, there is plenty of parking here. Something just fell in the fucking back. I didn't have something stowed properly. There's tons of parking here. These spaces over to my left are parking spots. Well, I don't want to park right there at the fuel island. I'm gonna grab this spot right here by I was about to say Xbox 360, JB Hunt 360, because some of these spots look like a pain in the ass to get out of. So All right. You know what? I might actually relocate once I get parked. Once I look at the address where I'm picking up from, I'm going to back all the way to the curb. All right. There we go. That's far enough back. All right. I think we are lined up good enough. The fuck's this dumbass doing? This tanker over to my left is parked out in the middle of the fucking road. Is he actually gonna park there? Oh no, he's backing up now. Are you fucking serious, bro? All right. I actually have to end the video to look at my email to look at the details on the load. So we got another Landstar driver circling the parking lot here. But yeah, this place is going to be kind of a pain in the ass to get out of. I probably should have parked the other damn direction. Because if there's people in the fuel island, this spot is nearly impossible to get out of. These parking spots are not very good. And this tanker over here is fucking struggling. He's just pulling up, just going back and forth, back and forth. I think he's trying to get straight in the spot, but anyway. Let's see. They have Dan's Famous Pizza, Big Slice, Chester's, Tejas Taco Company. Tacos sound fucking amazing. All right, I'm gonna go see if they're still serving tacos. What fucking? It's 10 p.m. Oh man, they might still be serving some tacos. I'm gonna see if I can't get some damn tacos. Um, let's shut this thing off. Let's go into post trip. I'm gonna end this video. And I'm gonna check my email, find out exactly where I'm picking up from, look at the details of the load, make sure it matches up with everything, and then I'm gonna go see if I can't fuck up some tacos. I brought my sriracha with me. Like sriracha makes Mexican food just so much better. Um, and sriracha, I thought sriracha was like a Mexican hot sauce until I looked up Guy Fong or whatever, and it's actually like Asian. It's like, wow, that's unexpected. I use it on tacos and shit. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up the video. Man, I hope you're we've had some nasty weather last week. We're going into some more nasty weather, and this is just like almost like a record breaking snow month or the last couple of weeks. So I hope you're being careful out there. Be safe, and I hope you make it through this winter without any accidents. And if you're out here with me through the holidays, I hope you're making a lot of money. And if you're at home enjoying the holidays, then I hope you have a great time off. So have a good one. Bye.